I'm Rosa Bryan. A lot of you know me already. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, good. I might actually see if I can just kind of bring this.
I thought I put that up on just a minute. Oh, right there. Okay, I'll start over it.
Okay. So I'm not going to talk about myself very long, but I'm a web and graphic designer in town. I own a firm called Treetop Creative, and I build websites for community organizations and for small businesses. I just did a new website for Friends of the North Fork. Yeah. But I'm also a community activist. Me and Audrey together, we work with Sustain Harrisonburg, which is a website where you can find information on sustainability events in Harrisonburg. And if anyone's interested in citizen communication, we would love help, so just let us know. And I'm also involved in the Hour Economy, which is a time bank, and we're trying to help change the culture around how people think about money and exchange locally. So that's really exciting as well. We were just in the DNR, so that was really cool. Great. Okay. So I'm going to talk about using Facebook to build an online community for your cause. If you're already doing this, you know it's pretty hard. I know a lot of us in here are already working to promote our causes on Facebook, are managing Facebook pages for your organizations. I've been in the trenches for a couple of years doing this, and it's pretty tough. And I'm going to talk about why, and hopefully give some ideas about how to have an easier time getting your word out to more people. So there's a pretty easy explanation of why people are on Facebook. Right now, the stat is that 89% of business-to-consumer marketers have a Facebook presence, and the reason is that 71% of people are on Facebook, and that's just enormous, right? The second largest is LinkedIn, and then there's Pinterest with 28%, and so Facebook is roughly 2 times as used as these other social networks. And furthermore, I don't know if you can really see these very well, but if you look at the stat all the way on the other side, people use Facebook way more frequently than they use any of the other social networks. So even though I, for instance, have an account on all of these social networks, I use Facebook every day. I definitely don't use Pinterest and Instagram and LinkedIn every day, right? So you have this enormous market share, this enormous audience. And you also have lots and lots of opportunities to reach them. But if you've been managing a business page recently, you know that it's been pretty hard to reach those people. It doesn't feel like you're reaching 71% of the population or anything near it, right? And this is because Facebook treats personal pages very differently from business pages and from organization pages. They've been basically ramping down the amount of reach, the amount of exposure that these pages have gotten over the last couple of years. You can see that in October 2013, that's where this starts, people were getting on average 16%. I know the numbers, I know you can't read them, but I'll just tell them. That about 16% of the people that had liked their page. And then over the course of like 5 months, it went down to 6 on average. So people's reach basically went down by 50% in 4 months. And it's been decreasing over the last 2 years pretty steadily. So people that used to depend on their Facebook markets are feeling this really intense pressure. They don't know what to do anymore. They sort of lost the market a bit. So we've had to try even harder and be more creative to get the word out over Facebook. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about in this presentation. And I know a lot of you don't manage Facebook pages necessarily, but I'm going to hopefully give you an insight into what it's like to manage one and how you can help us do it. So, I'm not going to actually explain this, but the whole reason that what we're basically dealing with in terms of trying to get our exposure on Facebook is this thing called the algorithm. And the algorithm basically determines what shows up on our news feeds, right? So when you log on to Facebook, this is what you see. It's a collection of posts from people you're connected to on Facebook. And the algorithm decides what goes here, what goes on top, what goes down. The last time I read, Facebook had, on average, when somebody logged into Facebook, there were 1,500 different posts that they could see at any time they logged onto Facebook, given the connections they had. And so Facebook has this algorithm that's meant to figure out how to take those 1,500 posts and sort them into something that the user can actually look through. And so what you want to do is try to get on the right side of the algorithm and get your posts up to the top. So just to do a bit of terminology, posts are updates. They can contain text, images, videos, and links, and there's a bunch of contention around which ones do better in the algorithm, but I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to that. And then this is sort of the key, is engagement, right? So when somebody likes a post or shares it or comments on it, that's what's considered by Facebook to be engagement, and that equals interaction, right? So if you look, if you see a post in your newsfeed and you read it, but you don't click on it, you don't comment on it, you don't like it, Facebook doesn't really count that as you having engaged with it, right? From Facebook's perspective, you didn't necessarily like that post very much, right? However, reach is the number of people who see the post in their newsfeed. So you are included in reach numbers when you see the post, but you're not included in engagement numbers. And so the power of Facebook really is the power to have something go viral. This is why social media is worth the effort. If you can do it right, you can get really good results. And that's that, I as Harrisonburg, for instance, might post our weekly newsletter. Say, so I posted on this guy, right? And then Facebook, in general, shows that post to a really small number of users who have liked my page. By liking the Sustain Harrisonburg page, you basically say, I want to receive notifications about Sustain Harrisonburg, but you're not guaranteed to get them. When I post something, Facebook's going to show it to some limited number of the people that liked my page. Now, if those people engage with that post, then it's going to show it to more people, right? But if no one does, it will die, and no one will see it, which is which is why you'll often see these like very different numbers on post reach. When I look at my page, there are posts that have like 12 that were reached, by 12 people, and then there are posts that have like 200 people. And it's because of this sort of virality approach that Facebook is taking, and that if a post doesn't seem popular, it just doesn't show it to anyone else, right? And so as a person who's trying to support these pages that are trying to get information out there, if you see a post and you interact with it, you're going to make it much more likely that other people are going to see that post as well. And that's a really strong way to support our efforts. So I love this quote. When you do something good, it used to be that you had to buy a bunch of media and tell people or do PR. Now the potential is for people to tell each other that you do good. And obviously earned media is very important, but social media has some significant power as well, and it's because of this. You can be an advocate, and if you can be convincing enough, everyone else can be an advocate for you as well. Oh, I got a little note for myself at the bottom of that one. And then this is important as well. The time to build an online community of supporters and fans is before you need them. I think that's really important. You can't just like get onto Facebook and start a marketing campaign, because marketing campaigns don't do all that well on Facebook. First, you have to foster a community, you have to get people on board with your mission, and then you can start, once you have that audience built that you've cultivated, then you can start, asking them to donate, asking them to contribute to your cause somehow and pass your message along. And this resource is really great if you're interested in doing a cause marketing campaign on social media. It's very comprehensive, it's very easy to read, and there are going to be lots of links in this presentation that I won't really go over, so I'm just going to kind of pass this around as a resource at the end. So despite Facebook being so difficult to do well on, there are some local people that are doing a really great job just in this area. So the co-op has 5,000 likes, which is one of the highest I've seen in the Harrisonburg area, but that's, they cross-cut all sorts of different interests and populations, so that's not surprising. I Love My Burg is a really fun, just kind of like Harrisonburg Happenings website. They do a weekly calendar, and they've got 1,700 likes, which is pretty amazing. And then SBBC, which is an advocacy group for bicycle advocacy, they have 1,200 likes. Sustain Harrisonburg has about 260. I think Our Economy has like 600, and it's taken us like years to build up the Our Economy one. It's taken about 6 to 9 months to do the Sustain Harrisonburg one, and these people have been around for years and years, so it takes a while to really build your Facebook following online. So now I'm going to get into kind of the meat of the presentation, which is the ways that I've found to write posts that are engaging. And this is a tip that I think Megan first told me, and that has helped me out tremendously. and that is to post photos. So on Sustain.Hburg, we do a good job of putting events out there, but we don't do a great job of taking pictures of those events and posting them. And it's a shame because that's what they do really well on Facebook. People love looking at pictures of themselves. They love looking at pictures of their friends, right? And the wonderful thing about photos and tagging photos is that you get like guaranteed engagement with them. So when you post a photo to Facebook, you can say, this is Roz, and this is Megan, and this is Christine, and in general, people have their settings set up to email them when they're being tagged in a photo, right? And so when you post, those people are going to receive emails. They will likely go online and they'll like that post, right? And so you've got this sort of guaranteed base of interaction with your post, and it's much more likely to proceed and kind of be shown to those people's friends and then those people's friends and so on and so forth. So if you're holding events or if cool things are happening in your office and you want to take pictures of your staff, or if you have volunteer events, those are all great opportunities to take pictures and to put them online. And it doesn't feel like an in-depth discussion or anything, right? But it's kind of a goodwill exchange between you and the people on Facebook that support your cause. Obviously, we see a lot of links on Facebook. The great thing about links is that they promote sharing. So whereas I don't see too many examples of people sharing pictures of their friends on Facebook, if somebody sees a link that they think is really interesting, sharing is pretty, I wouldn't go as far as to say likely, but that's what tends to happen with popular links. And you can see here that this is from the co-op, and they have this really short little thing. They just say, cozy farm animals in the winter. It's just too adorable not to share. Super Facebook-friendly little link here. It's got a picture of a goat. I mean, like, if you can include a picture of an animal, this sounds stupid, but if you can include a picture of an animal, it doesn't hurt. People love looking at pictures of animals, especially when they're cute and looking directly at you, like this goat is. So again, another kind of opportunity to tell people that you're on their level in terms of the kind of thing that they want to be seeing on Facebook, and that you have the same sort of interests in general. And I do want to emphasize that it's important to be short in what you write up here, because Facebook will cut off after about 2 lines or so. So if you put a whole bunch of information in that box, chances are no one will see anything but the first couple of lines. And your message can be buried pretty easily. And I'm not going to go over these, but these are 3 really useful tips if you're using a lot of links on Facebook. So you can look at them later. So another thing that I found is really important is to interact with people as your page. You can go on Facebook and you can click that this little triangle up at the top right of your Facebook window, and you can choose to act as your page on Facebook, and it'll allow you to go and like other pages and to comment on other people's posts and to share other people's posts as your page. And it makes there be a 2-way interaction between you and the people that you're following on Facebook. It doesn't really work to just put stuff out there and expect people to interact with it. You need to interact with other people's stuff as well. And the other thing is, if you support another page, then that page is very likely to support you, right? And so if I as Sustain.Hburg, share a calf post, basically our 2 audiences of likes are piggybacking on one another, and we have sort of double the amount of exposure, which is a really wonderful tool and a great way to kind of build relationship on Facebook. So a lot of the time people ask about, when should I post, how often should I post, and I really don't think there's a solid answer out there right now. But I will say, this is sort of the rule I use, which is that unless you have like an enormous number of likes, you probably want to just post at maximum 1 time per day. This is supposed to be 1 time per day down to 1 or 2 times a week, sorry. So maximum once per day, or else your reach is going to be kind of split between the posts, or minimum 1 or 2 times a week. So that's just like a nice rule to go by. And the other thing is that timing is less important than engagement. There used to be a time when Facebook really cared about when you posted, but it seems that they're caring less. So it's much more important that you actually have people interact with your posts than you post them at a specific time of day or a specific day of the week. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about ways that I think about Facebook that kind of guide the way that I interact with people as a page. And this is sort of helpful. I've heard people suggest to think of Facebook as a cocktail party, right? So it's not like a dinner date. It's not like you and one other person talking for an hour. This is like you and 50 other people getting to know each other through quick interactions. You're trying to be interesting and yourself, but also you're not really talking to anyone for very long. You're sharing sort of interesting tidbits based on what they're interested in. You're trying to figure out what they're interested in so you can know what to tell them, right? So that, I think, is kind of a nice starter. Another thing that I think is good to think about is why people use Facebook in the first place. It didn't start out as a way for businesses to reach consumers. Facebook was created as a way for people to just talk to their friends in short little clips. And I think a lot of us, now that that Facebook has been open to business for so long, sort of forget that. And so when I kind of need inspiration, I can just look at how I interact on Facebook or how my friends interact with each other on Facebook and try to emulate that same level of interaction. And this is sort of an interesting mental experiment, and that's to think about, what if you just designed your Facebook page for you and forgot about what anyone else thought? So if you were going to just take 2 weeks and design, for instance, the best sustained Harrisonburg page that I thought that could exist, right? And I didn't worry about what would be popular and what people would engage with. What would that look like? There are people that do this and say that it works extremely well, right? Because it makes you much more authentic, and authenticity is certainly rewarded on Facebook. And I think it's just a useful thought exercise. But this I stole from a woman's video that I'm going to promote later on, so I'll tell you about it in a second. So I haven't really talked about paid advertising, and I'm not really going to very much, but except to say that, why not, right? There's a lot of sort of contention about how useful paid advertising is. One nice thing about it is that it doesn't cost very much. You can boost a post for like $5. You can do a $50 ad campaign, so you might as well experiment if it's something you think would be useful. But I would say a word of caution about it, and that is that you do not want to expand your page likes to people that are not actually invested in your cause, right? Because if your page likes are like 90% people that you got through paid advertising, you just liked the link that you sent around and are sort of vaguely interested in your cause but aren't going to interact with your posts, then those first few people that Facebook shows your post to are not likely to interact with it, right? And so because of this way that Facebook is sort of seeding the posts now and checking whether they're engagement worthy, your kind of blown out likes can really hurt you in the end. And that's pretty important to remember, I think. There's some interesting research online about that if you're interested in it. So now I think you have a basic idea of what the algorithm is, at least, or what it does, right? It figures out where things will appear on a newsfeed based on how people are interacting with the post and how you've interacted with the page that's posted it in the past. And there's a couple different ways to go forward if you care about this. One way is to start looking online and try to figure out how the algorithm's changing over time and keep up with it by following one of the hundreds of websites that track this all the time. There are people that do this, and it takes a lot of time, and I do it to a certain extent. But I would just say that there is an option B, and that is to just not really worry about the algorithm and just say, the algorithm is built to show people the posts they want to see. Right? That's the whole point of this Facebook algorithm, is to show the right posts to the right people, get them to engage with your posts. And so if you just create posts that you think people will engage with, you will always beat the algorithm, right? And you don't have to spend your whole life researching online, And while this might get you a bit of an edge, if you don't have the time to do this, I think option B is a perfectly valid approach as well. But I just want to say, I think the bottom line is to experiment and observe. There is no book on Facebook. I mean, there probably is an actual book on Facebook, but no one agrees. It's always changing. And the algorithm changes, every few months or every 6 months. And really, it's just, it just pays to look at the people that are doing this successfully, right? You can go on pages that you have sort of set for yourself to watch And you can look at their posts, you can see how many likes they're getting and how many shares and comments they're getting, and just kind of look through and see which ones are doing well, right? And say, oh, well, I could do something like that on my page. And so, try different kinds of posts, observe others who are getting activities on their pages, and try different times. Who knows, maybe time of day will do something for you, right? A great thing about Facebook, and there's a link later that will show you how to do this, is that you can schedule your posts for the future. So you can go online, like on Monday, and schedule, your posts for the whole week, right? And then you'll want to follow up and interact with the people that interact with your posts, but you can at least do some of the upfront work at one time. And because I have a little time, I'm going to talk about linking Facebook to your website really briefly. So there are a few different options for getting your website and Facebook to work together. One is to insert something like this like box on the right over here. Basically shows people, it gives people a button they can click to like your page, and it shows them a picture of their friends. These are your friends if you're logged into Facebook. And so you can see people that you're connected to that already like this organization, which is really powerful. And you can get this, the code to insert this into your website online for free. Facebook will just give it to you. And as long as you can then give it to somebody you put on your website, you're good. So the link to do that is there. A lot of people have a Facebook button on their website header, and I'm not totally sure how well that works. I know it's sort of standard and it's free, so why not do it? And one thing I've been seeing more lately that I thought is pretty interesting is this. The DNR, for instance, has this comment box at the bottom of their articles now that is actually a direct post to Facebook comment. And so there's this little box here that says, also post my comment to Facebook. And it's got your profile picture here. And if you put your comment in there and you say share or comment, it'll post to Facebook for you. Right? You don't have to click a separate button to share that article to Facebook. I think 350.org was also doing this on some of their campaigning sites. So that's sort of interesting. I think this is a WordPress plugin, is my guess. I think it says Facebook social plugin at the bottom. And the other thing is just to make sure that you do post your website content to Facebook. Ideally with some text to go along with it that sort of just indicates the value of that content, why people would want to read it, something brief, just to promote people going from Facebook to your website as well. Okay, and I'm not going to go over these, but I sort of surveyed a few different people I know that are doing advocacy work over Facebook, and if you're interested in taking a look through this presentation for more information, it exists. So I'm going to skip all this. But there's some information there from Erin Sheehan? I never know how to say her name. She does who does communication for the co-op. There's some from Megan Williamson, who does a lot of social media work, and also Tan Dang, who's the head of environmental planning and transportation for the city of Harrisonburg. And then finally, I just have some resources that I find really useful for managing Facebook or just for doing anything with online presence. PicMonkey and Canva are really good resources if you want to create online graphics for free. They'll let you just kind of put together collages of images, put text over them, apply effects, resize them. They're really great if you want to be creating pictures for your posts on your website or on Facebook. If you're managing multiple social media channels, there's this free app called Buffer app that'll let you link your accounts up to this service, and you can schedule everything in one place. So you can say, I want this post to go to Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook on this date, and you can do that, you schedule up to a week in advance or something. And then here are just a number of other links if you're interested in learning more about social media. The Pew Research Internet Project is really interesting. They do really comprehensive data analysis on social media trends. These are some help resources if you just need help learning how to do something on Facebook. If you have a specific question, they're great. And then this I'm not going to go into, but there is a link previous in the presentation that'll tell you how to use this. It'll help your links show up correctly on Facebook. And that's the link for the Facebook like box. And then finally, if you do want to dedicate some real time to building your Facebook audience, if you feel like your Facebook page is stagnating and you want to spend some sort of dedicated time to getting it to grow, there's this 25-minute long YouTube video by a woman who's a blogger, and she has this really like sensible 5-step approach to building your Facebook page up. It requires a couple of months of sort of dedicated time to cultivating your Facebook page, but if you're interested in it, it's really worth checking out, and it's 25 minutes to kind of just see what she's talking about. And I found it incredibly interesting, so I thought I'd include it here as well. And that's it. I forgot to include my contact information at the end, but you can find me on Facebook. or you can just go to Sustain Harrisonburg and use the contact form or whatever. Or you can just find me here. I'm not staying for dinner, but anyway, does anyone have any questions or any tips that you want to share that you found work really well?
And this presentation is going to be available to us?
Yeah. I wouldn't expect you to have it. Yeah.
Roz, you explained something to me why I don't like Facebook, because you said it's like a cocktail party. And I just feel overwhelmed by cocktail parties and Facebook. But I also realize how important it is. Is there some way you can design your own Facebook page